Hello and welcome to this episode of HBCU, where our goal is to highlight the accomplishments and achievements that HBCUs have provided to the community of color for more than 150 years. My next guest is a household name. He's an actor, entrepreneur, entertainer, and an advocate for HBCUs. He attended Clark Atlanta University and received a BA in Theater Arts. Please help me welcome Emmanuel Lewis to HBCU.
Thank
Emmanuel,
you.
I'm so happy to have you on the show, man. It's very exciting to have you here, especially knowing how much you have advocated for HBCUs. Now, just to set the stage here, you graduated from Clark Atlanta.
Absolutely.
In 1997.
That's right.
Now, talk to me about your time there at Clark Atlanta.
You know, it was fun. It's fun. You learned a lot from the teachers. You learned a lot of life lessons.
Yeah.
You know. Literally, when we finished shooting Webster, I enrolled in school. My brother was already there, so he's a year in advance. And it was very, interesting for me because I had never, gone to school full time, ever. You know, I always worked and went to school since I was in elementary school, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it was a very different approach to, for me to, have a whole semester and being the breadwinner of my home, and not work. That was kind of weird. So I would go a semester, and then I would work a semester.
Okay.
And then I would come back to school, and I'd go a semester, and then I'd come off, and because that's the time of the pilot season, and we do different shows and movies or whatever, and then I'd come back, and then eventually I was like, okay, I just need to buckle down and finish and make it happen.
Yeah.
And we had some great teachers like Miss Carol Mitchell-Leon, Gary Yates, and so many others that was so influential in our personal lives,
right.
Helping us to mature and grow into some, special people because they were that special.
Yeah.
And so there's so much you get out of school than just with the books, just between the lines.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's so much more that's inside of that. And so I really enjoyed that. We've given scholarships. I'm on the board of the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame. And so we do so much within that organization,
right.
for the high schools, for visiting on campuses, we have a Queens competition.
Tell me about the Queens competition.
So all the queens from all the HBCUs come to our gala, and they compete to be Miss HBCU. And that's one of the highlights. But the other highlight that we have is that we go and honor every outstanding graduate from an HBCU. Our board votes on them, and it's pretty stout now.
I can imagine.
It's pretty stout. You know what I mean? And they have to win, the various different categories.
Right.
And we go into, what they've done for their organization, or their school or other schools, and how they give back to the community, and
right.
Their accomplishments, and what they mean to the HBCU experience. And so we then invite them so we can give them their flowers and awards, and like you.
Oh man, look, I appreciate it, and you mentioned to me about this annual event that you have, and all the different programs that you all are doing around the country, and I look forward to being involved and getting engaged. So definitely loop me in on that. But I want to know, on the yard, what was the yard like though? Because I heard now. I heard.
The story starts with what I heard.
I heard you was a party animal.
You know what?
By land and by sea.
I had a good time partying, but it was never on campus.
Okay.
It was always at our events. We go to Tom Joyner. We have awesome rap parties. We had all these, events for all the stars in New York, all the events in LA. So we had a few things at school because I always loved our step shows and stuff like that. Those were the fun part. And then we have our homecoming.
Right.
Now, the homecoming parties is the best parties, okay? That's when we get down and we break it down, okay?
Right.
But you get a chance to see all your alumni that you haven't seen for a while, and you just remember all the good old days, and where's who at, where they're working, and what's going on, and so those were the best days. But while I was in school, I didn't live on campus. I lived off campus.
Okay.
And my mom was extremely protective, and she had a driver, an armed driver, that would take me to school and to my classes, and make sure I brought my butt back home, or I'd go to the library or do what I need to do. So yeah, I had fun after I graduated school. At school.
Well, you know what? That's actually the proper order.
Yeah.
Some of us get it backwards. We get it reversed, which prolongs, the process of getting out of school.
Yeah.
But I want to know. I know you're very close to your family.
Yes.
What role did your family have in you selecting an HBCU to attend?
That was my mom. My mom and my head of security. He went to Clark. I had a scholarship to Howard University, and I was looking forward to that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But my mom says, no, you're not going to Howard, and I've already given your scholarship away. Back to the institution. You don't need their money. You're gonna pay for your own way, and you're gonna go right, here. And I was like, okay, so where am I going, to Morehouse? You know what I mean? I'm like, that was dope. I thought I'd go to Morehouse. Like, well, Morehouse is a great college, but Clark Atlanta University has the degree, where you actually go and learn about your particular degree that you want to go to school for. Yeah. And, that's what Spike Lee did as well. He was a Morehouse man, but he took all of his school, for his credits at Clark.
Right. So let me ask you this. While you was at Clark, there's something known as the history experience. Tell me about the history experience.
Well, my history experience with Clark is we just did this with the president and a few young people that came to Clark, and so we jumped on the golf cart, and I literally took them on a tour of the whole campus, and I gave the tour.
Okay.
So that was, but we also had a student, one of the SGA students, whatever, and I of course let them interject and do what they do. But yeah, that's when I take over and do the actual tour myself and tell them what we did here, there, and then also what that building, who derived from that building and who that person was and how they were a dean and stuff like that. So yeah.
So tell me this: why are you so passionate about supporting HBCUs, and what role do you feel like they play in our culture?
There are a lot of brilliant people that came out of HBCUs.
Absolutely.
And, I don't think HBCUs always get the credit of having some of the smartest minds and brains that came out of HBCUs and what they have done in their communities.
Right.
And it's very easy just to say, I'm going to go, elsewhere. But when you start to do your homework, and you will find out, what we've actually been able to achieve in HBCUs. More teachers come out of HBCUs from the black community.
Right.
We had Morehouse School of Medicine. It's one of the finest, medical schools in the whole Southeast region.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of history there, and they've gone on to do a lot of great things. And from our aspect of it, we're a community-based, and an emotional kind of person. Yeah. And so to understand and work inside of our diaspora from an educational standpoint, it's just different.
Right.
You know what I mean? We special people, and we need to be handled in a special way.
Right. Well, and you know what? And that's one of the things that HBCU experience actually afford us is the opportunity to get that specialized treatment and attention that some of us really need.
They understand where we come from, and so they understand what issues that are going on in our household,
Right.
and they understand how to address those and help you go through that. So yeah, you're going to get help for your studies, and you're going to get help for making sure you get great grades and stuff like that. I was on the dean's list myself, and we've done very well in that aspect. But you also need people to relate to.
Right.
A lot of kids nowadays, they grow up and they're going to all white schools, and they don't even understand the black diaspora.
Right.
So
Right.
where do you go to find out what that is? You go to an HBCU.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you're going to get your education, but you're going to understand who you are, because they also take a lot out of a lot of black history out of all regular schools.
Right.
It's non-existence.
No, absolutely.
You
You're correct.
don't learn anything about black history in a really integral way at other schools. But when you come to an HBCU,
Right.
yes, sir.
It's there.
You're gonna learn a whole lot more than your eyes. The veil comes off your eyes, and you get to really see what's going on. And then you go and tour other schools, because that's what we do. We support our students and
Right.
support where other people are coming from.
What about that camaraderie, that community?
Yes.
That you get when you're part of that?
It's an automatic community.
Yeah, I mean it's unprecedented anywhere else.
Automatic.
Now I do know that you were the most popular person on campus at Clark Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Me, why? How? Why?
Literally, we did a lot of fun stuff. We actually had our own show on the CAU TVs.
Yeah.
So my brother would produce shows, and he was brilliant, genius when it comes to getting in there and getting the key and
Yeah.
going there after hours and literally just going to work. No muss, no fuss, just really wanted to get in there and let me see what we can do. And you have a bunch of kids from different departments wanting to come together. I remember we'd have a young lady who was like, man, I want to do this project, but nobody wants to work with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you want to do? I want to do like a talk show, and then I want to do this, and I want to do that. I'm like, okay. So we literally just put together a crew. I had music appreciation, I think, the next day. And I just went over to anybody playing instruments around here? I know jazz, good. Put together a 3-piece, 4-piece unit, and they never met each other.
Wow.
But they were able to do that, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
right away. And, somebody from the English department, we want to get somebody in here to write a script or something like that. Yeah, I mean, they're creative. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then you already have the usual suspects that are always there, inside of the studio lab, to artistically direct. And so we had a lot of fun, and, coming right off the show in Webster and coming on there. And, my mom would, rest her soul, she would come there and the Rolls Royce. And I'm like, Mom, can you just...
Can you tone it down a little bit?
You know what I'm saying? Like, really? Because that's what all the kids remember. Yeah, you saw your mom came. It's like coming to America and the
Right.
the royal family coming through. I'm like, Mom, could you just what I mean? What could I do for you?
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff like that.
Now you got an early start to your career. How old were you when you got into the
9.
industry? 9 years old. And
9
what was
years
your
old.
first big break?
Okay, so my very first commercial was Campbell Soup. So that your first one is your first one, right?
Yeah.
But I think one of the bigger break ones that I had was Burger King. And I think we did about four or five commercials, and I won a Clio Award.
Okay.
And that's the big award for commercials,
Yeah.
right? So that was awesome. And then we did stuff in Japan. I had a #1 hit single in Japan. And so I'd have to go to Japan and literally tour. I did 3 shows a day at 3 different towns inside. So we traveled by bus, by bullet train, by everything then to go to these different shows and
Yeah.
perform. And it went, when we were on our way home, they gave me the billboard, and it was #1 in Japan for, because you go to all the different countries.
Yeah.
It was #1 when we were on our way home. you know.
Wow.
So we did a lot of fun stuff.
Singer, actor, you did all. So talk to me about Webster. I mean, that was, I grew up on the show, as a lot of people in my age category did. So talk to me about that show, how you got the gig, and what it was like being on there.
Well, that's why when you asked which one was the big thing, because the Lou Ehrlich kids saw that one of those Burger King commercials, and they're like, well, we've got to get him, and we got to do a show. And then he, found us we're not lost, but we were in New York, and invited us to come to L.A., and they decided they wanted to do a TV show. It was first called Another Ball Game, and then they changed it to Then Came You, and that was the theme song.
I remember
but right
that one,
before it was to air, they changed it from Then Came You to Webster.
Right.
And they told me that right as I was about to do Johnny Carson, they told me that the show, matter of fact, he's the one that told me that they changed the show from Then Came You to Webster. And I believed him because,
he was Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson, you know what I mean?
So how many seasons did the show run?
We did 6 years. Yeah,
Okay,
we
that's
did
good
for syndication and whatnot. So yeah.
So who has been the most influential person, I guess, in the industry for you?
In the industry, well,
let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
In and out the industry, you can cover both.
Okay, out, of course, my mom. You know what I mean? She's your ride or die. You know what I mean? She was not like a stage mom. She was I'm your mama. You know what I mean? All of this stuff right here don't mean,
when the lights go out, I'm still your mama.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was, she was like, look, I'm the baby boy. So, none of that. Like, So mom, obviously, she inspired everything. And it always blows my mind, okay? Because here she is, she's got 4 kids. She works for the government of Manhattan, okay? A good job. She's on that 40-40 plan, if you remember that, right? And we were doing very well in commercials. We did very well. We did over 60 commercials in about 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Which was, which is pretty darn good. And for her to quit her job to work with me full time and support wherever I was going, because no one knew where that was, you know what I mean? To support what I was doing, I'm still baffled right now. You know what I mean? The older I get, the more I'm like, wow, because that's huge. You know what I'm saying? You got other mouths to feed, and you just need to be. Show business is the least stable, thing there is, right?
Right.
So that to me was, I still think about that. I'm thinking, wow, she took a chance. You know what I mean? And she was like, okay, I got your back, in the realest sense there it could be. In show business. My first inspiration in show business was Sammy Davis Jr. Okay. That's kind of the impetus of me even wanting to be in show business. And meeting him and being around him was great. But Michael, MJ, Michael Jackson was, that's my bro. We did everything, you know what I mean, and he showed me so much of business aspect and like the good and the bad of the industry, and just really made sure that, I was aware, of what's really going on, because he was such one of the most savviest business person in the entertainment industry ever, you know what I mean, bar none. And, obviously he was a very important aspect.
Yeah. So how did you and MJ become friends?
I met him while he was taping Thriller. And so that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
So what happened basically was it was a work night and a school night. And so the fact that I was leaving my house was like amazing. I'm like, we leaving the house on a work night and a school night? Like, they're like, yeah, we have a surprise for you. And I'm like, okay. And I look at my mom and I'm like, what they talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get sucked in because we don't do anything on a work night. I mean, like I'm the star of the show. I got, over 60 pages to memorize, you know what I mean? And then I've got homework. And so it's a serious commitment, right?
Right.
And I understood how, it's, they're looking for me to be on point when I get there. You know what I mean? Time is money, money is time. And,
that's right.
You know what I mean? And so I understood this. I don't know how, but I understood the seriousness of it, right? But there was like, yes. And she was like, yeah, we're going to go. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just looking at her. I'm taking my cue 100% from her. And they, we was in the Jeep, one of my friends' Jeep, and they tied my eyes. And as they put me on the back of their shoulders. So I'm riding on somebody's shoulders because I can't see. And I heard the music start. And I already really knew who that was when I heard the music. I mean, his music is unique to him, right? So, and I'm like, that's Michael Jackson's music. So why are we listening to Michael Jackson music? What's going on? And it's like, look, see, look what's going on. And I'm looking at them, and they have the whole, squad out there doing the dance that everybody, now knows, and, all this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And right? And he's in the Thriller mode out, makeup and, whatever. I was like, wow, I mean, this is pretty different. You know what I mean? I've never seen a music video like this. Of course, he calls it a short film. And I just thought that was amazing. And he called us over to speak with him, and me and my mom and the gentleman that was with us and we, said, hey, what's up? And after that, came to his house, met, Miss Catherine Jackson, and I was walking through the kitchen, which is hilarious to me. There's some music on in the kitchen over there, and I'm coming in there just kind of bopping and dancing, and then Janet comes in, and she gets to bopping and dancing and starts mirroring it. We start doing the word like that. And so that's how I meet Janet.
Wow. Man, what a story.
Coming in the kitchen, doing this thing. She said, can you go backwards? I said, okay, I think we can go backwards, And that was that. And after that, a big hug, and it was like automatically family.
Yeah. Man, that's special.
Went on a lot of tours, that he did all over with the brothers and, by himself, and just watched him, give away a lot of money, millions of dollars, and to different organizations. And I think, I think he's probably one of the biggest donors that has given to various different organizations and work with all these different things. And that's just brilliant to see how big his heart was.
Wow. Yeah. Man, what a story, man! And he definitely left his mark on the world.
1,000%,
to say the least, man.
Yeah.
Give me one plug as to why some young person that's considering going to college, why should they select Clark Atlanta?
I think one of the first things you got to do is you got to get a tour. You got to get a tour of the campus, and you got to meet some of the kids on the campus, because you and I can talk our faces off, but when they get the chance to speak to other kids not too far from their age, and they get a chance to talk to them while they're there and while they're going to school, and they get that adjustment as to why they went there, and why it was awesome, because the things that we enjoyed, you know what I mean,
we old school now.
It's old school now, right? You know what I mean? We OG now, right? But we speak to the kids that are on campus and some of the things that is meaningful to them. I think that's the big thing. There's a lot of different, one of my friends, Kai, she's out of Brooklyn, and every year she would take the kids on an HBCU tour, and they would get on the bus, and they would come all the way to Atlanta, see Spelman and Morehouse and Clark and Morris Brown and the Theological Center, and you know what I mean? They get all of that rich history.
Yeah, man, that's great. Emmanuel, let me tell you this. It's been my pleasure having you on the show, and as a token of our respect and admiration for all you have achieved and all that you have done for HBCUs, it is my privilege and my honor to present you with the HBCU Lifetime Achievement Award for recognition of your outstanding dedication to historically black colleges and universities. It couldn't go to a better and more deserving person.
Thank you
so much.
much.
Thank you so much
Oh
for being on
my
the show.
goodness.
And to my viewers, thank you for watching. And remember, without you, there's no me.